Want to know the absolutely safest business you can start with $0 that can make you thousands and multi-millions if you do it right?
I made this video about why newsletters are the smartest side hustle, and I said if enough people commented, I'd show you step by step how to grow your newsletter to make your own millions. Let's just say enough people commented. You also asked, what do I do to get started? Well, here you go. This is the exact system we use to build a 300,000 person email list and 3 million social followers in 2 years with no upfront cash. Now we're here.
I feel like you're putting out some of the best entrepreneurial content on the internet right now.
Of all the newsletters, there's one that stuck out to me called the Contrarian Thinking Newsletter.
Thriving as a business leader, Codie Sanchez.
But this isn't where we started. Let's take it back to day one. This is day one, February 15th, 2020. Nobody's on the newsletter, nobody cares. But in the next 24 hours kicks off what will become a 8-figure and I think one day 9-figure business.
How did you do it?
So I spend the evening looking through Evernote on things that get me fired up to talk about. Maybe I want to talk about making money. Maybe I want to talk about philosophy, building businesses. I start talking to my husband and my friend Joe about it. First 2 subscribers, check, check. Then I come up with the name Contrarian Thinking. And I do this by looking through my journals, but I also do this from perusing this site and basically making sure I can get the domain. The way that I pick a topic like this for newsletters is something called the 3 C's, which basically mean curiosity, crowd, cash. You need these 3 things in order to have a newsletter that's not only going to grow a lot, but going to make you a lot of money. One is curiosity.
I'm curious what makes you so curious.
More important than anything else is, do you want to keep speaking on this for at least a year? Every day.
All day, every day.
And then eventually once a week. 2 is crowd. Is there a big enough group of people that's really interested in the subject matter that you could get a raving audience and have this actually grow? I like checking these Facebook groups. I basically go and search, is there a group of people that's interested in vintage furniture? Oh, turns out there is. There's one for hundreds of thousands. What about a newsletter on anti-work? Here's Reddit. You could basically start a newsletter just from curating these psychopaths.
You can play video games all day and you don't have to do anything.
The third one that I look at is cash. I want to make sure one of 2 things happen. 1, people are either already spending in this area, or 2, I can make them money.
I'm talking about this.
If I can make somebody money, then I can justify a cost for them. We know that people are spending money on vintage furniture because you can basically see here, industries up and to the right, growing, thriving. People like this movement. Cool, we've got the cash checked. Now you could also make a newsletter that's about how to sell or how to find or how to make money on vintage furniture. That's check, check. You pick your curiosity, your crowd, add the cash components, and you are well on your way. Now, my first draft email was right here. This is where you're gonna draft a welcome email.
Write a really bad first draft.
Basically like your little front doorstep to your newsletter. Thank you, come on in, stay for a while. This one was called Thinking Critically and Why It Matters. Not my favorite newsletter that I've ever written. You can see sort of the progress from then to today. But that took 24 hours. Everything I just mentioned, and I was already up and running with a welcome sequence, my first 2 subscribers, and my idea for the newsletter. Next day is, dun dun, February 16th. There are basically 4 steps. First is I need to actually have a platform to send my newsletter, right? At the time I used MailChimp, $0 to start. If I was doing it today, I'd use Beehive. They're, I think, the best platform out there. Basically costs you nothing. You have your newsletter rocking and rolling. There's a bunch of templates and ways to start this really easily. I think it takes 4 steps. Second, I used Squarespace to do a logo. I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on an expensive logo. I didn't even know if this was gonna work. You use this site at Squarespace and it's free. It's a little janky, but it's free 99, I'm into that. If it's free, it's for me. New motto. Then I pulled all the emails from my contact list. I put them into a BCC'd email as an opt-in, and I basically said, hey, you guys are all friends of mine. I've interacted with you over the years. I've got a new business, and that business is this newsletter. I'd love to have you come along and subscribe. You can see the exact terminology I use right there. That got me my first 102 subscribers, and that leaves us to February 17th. Oh, hi. Hello! This is day 4. On day 4, I thought I'd say hi to some buds of mine. These buds in particular is called your COI strategy, Centers of Influence strategy. I reached out to, let's call it 10 or 15 of my most connected friends who I thought could send my newsletter to a bunch of people, thus get them to subscribe. It worked pretty well. I basically went from 104 or something like that to 167 people who care. I put this message out to them. Hey friends, if you'd like to share this with other people, it'd mean the world to me, something to this effect. Second was I added a pop-up site on my Squarespace website, which I'm not an internet nerd, so I didn't know this is 101, no f***ing brainer, but I added a really simple pop-up. And you'll notice what matters with the pop-up is it's how you make people feel. You don't say, sign up for my newsletter, please, or subscribe here. You say something like, you want the inside secret? Click here. You want to try to make it a little bit sexy. This is your hook. 3, I did a sign up sequence. Really easy, also within your email service provider. Basically, the more creative you can get with your sign up sequence, the more likely they are to forward it.
That's very interesting.
Then I got rid of all the stock images. I hate stock images. They don't make you feel anything. I want my people to feel something. So I supplemented them with Unsplash, free images. It's my favorite site. You can use it too.
I'm just helping you invest in your future, my friend.
Then I went to LinkedIn to announce the news. And I did a post like this on LinkedIn and wah, wah, not a lot of people heard. I think 5 people signed up.
Wow.
And then finally, I did Reddit. Do you guys like my drawing? Now, Reddit is brutal. So I went on there to post about this new newsletter that I had. Basically, it didn't work at all. It was like a grandma dancing on TikTok badly. But it's okay because we still got to day number 5. On day 5, I basically did 3 things. 1, we hit 200 newsletter subscribers. Then we hit 253 newsletter subscribers, all as a compounding effect of those first couple of days. So at this point, I realized I don't love MailChimp. This new technology came out called Substack. So I switched to Substack, and they have 2 pieces that I read that really change how I grow in general.
What are they?
This first one is how to get your first 100 subs. The second one tells you how to get to 5,000 subscribers. And what I quickly realized is I wasn't posting enough, and I wasn't posting in the right way on the right platform. So I go from posting once a week to posting every single day on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Twitter.
I love to disturb people.
And on Twitter is really important because that's the only place where other people repost your stuff to a high degree, and you can hit velocity, which takes me from day 5 to day 6. Day 6, baby. Now we're moving to Instagram. We do these little swipe ups, nothing crazy, once a week. I also put the link in my bio on Twitter and Instagram. I know, rocket science, but I didn't realize that was important back then. And I created this doc that has all of the ideas for how I could grow. This guy doesn't help very much. I come up with a content calendar and I post every week Wednesday at 9:15 a.m. so people will come to expect it.
I'm waiting to be impressed.
First couple issues go out, 82% open rate, 46% click through. I'm like, I'm killing it. So at the end of day 6, we're sitting at 422 subscribers. Oh, I don't want to forget to tell you guys, there's something special about this channel. I do deals all day. I bring deals to you all day. So now you got a deal. We got to seal the deal between the two of us. What does that mean? That because I teach you how to hit that 6-figure deal, you hit that subscribe button. And on day 7, a couple of my LinkedIn posts get 0 engagement. I feel a little bit embarrassed. I don't know if you guys have ever posted it to the wind and nobody cares, but it happens. Lots of everything that I did on the 7th day basically just didn't do well. Maybe it's like God says, like on the 7th day you rest or something, because it wasn't working out for me. And all that takes me to week 2. And week 2 is where it starts to get really interesting. This week, I actually hit 1,790 subscribers in my 2nd week. First, I decided I'm working way too f***ing hard. I need to work smarter, not harder. Where can I get the most subscribers for the least amount of work? What I realized is I needed to hit up some podcasts. So I went and looked through my list of friends on both Instagram and LinkedIn and reached out to about 20 of them asking if I could be on their podcasts. 10 of them said yes. These were little tiny baby podcasts at the time. I got a couple of 100 subscribers from, let's call those all 10 of those podcasts together. Then the second thing that worked really well is newsletter swaps. So I went out to Substack and I looked for other newsletters that were right about my same size. And I said, hey, bud, how about I plug your newsletter, you plug my newsletter, and we both grow. And then finally I was like, this all is just this big word called collabs. So why don't I do a social post collab? And I did my very first one on Instagram, and we did a social post like this, which takes us to week number 3. I'm gonna tell you all about it. So we get to week 3. This is a big week, 3,800 subscribers. That's 2 times the growth of the previous week. What starts basically happening is everything compounds. The podcasts start getting more and more subscribers that I've done. The show notes where I tagged my newsletter in those podcasts start getting backlinks, so more people follow me, and I have what's called domain authority. Then I start doing a few more of those collaborations, and I've created what's called a flywheel. I do these specific things and they all start motoring easier and easier together. One of the unlocks that happened at this period is I started reaching out to big companies that needed more UGC. This one, for instance, is called Flippa, and I talk about buying boring businesses. So I reached out to them and said, hey, would you like me to do like a guest blog post? I just want to put my newsletter in there for people to sign up if they want to, totally free. I'm not asking for anything, but I'll create great content for you. Probably 5 of these guys said no, 3 of them said yes. That led to hundreds of subscribers. Then what I realized is lots of people were coming to my site, but it wasn't that well optimized. So I added what's called a lead magnet. I basically used this site, designer with 2 R's because we're fancy. They basically, I think it cost me like $50, and I created an ebook based on one of my best articles. I put that as the lead magnet, and that basically 3x'd the conversions, aka the people that are clicking to actually subscribe. And then week 4 starts to hit. Now, week 4. Okay, the studio's not that big, so we're actually just gonna be back here for week 4. Week 4 was a big week. How big? Let me tell you. 11,003 subscribers. Totally nailed it. Now, what took me over the edge this month is what I'll call optimizing on the edges.
What is that?
So when I went on a podcast, I would do one thing. I would make sure that I had a place where I could mention my lead magnet. I would have a specific URL that I went to, easy to understand, like contrarianthinking.co/recession. And then I'd tell people when I was on the podcast, oh, if you want to get my guide to how to invest in a recession, go to contrarianthinking.co/recession. By the way, spoiler, you could go there for that lead magnet. It's a pretty good one if you want to sign up for the newsletter.
You like it?
I also changed my focus. Once something started to go viral, I let the boulder roll downhill. And what does that mean? I started talking about boring businesses, people started really liking it. So I said, I'm gonna lean into this. And I reached out to Forbes, an entrepreneur, I got blog posts in those specific places all about buying boring businesses. This will happen to you. When you start a newsletter, you're gonna have something hit big, and that's your moment to really lean in and become the expert in the hairless, hypoallergenic cat community.
Look what you did to Mr. Bigglesworth!
The last thing that really made the difference to get us over that 11,000 hump was I accelerated the things that worked and I killed the things that didn't. More collaborations, more newsletter swaps, less Reddit, because fuck those guys, more LinkedIn and Facebook stuff, more Twitter, less Instagram, because I hadn't figured out how to use Instagram to grow at that point. This sounds like common sense, except it's not.
It's not? It's not!
Lean into what works, kill what doesn't ruthlessly. But let's take this back to you for a second. 30 days, 10,000 subscribers, well, 11,003 subscribers, which means at that point you can start turning on monetization, aka making a little bit of money. If you guys want, I'll do a whole video breakdown on how to make $1 million with a newsletter, but now you know how to grow. And let me promise you one thing, we are in a war for eyeballs. Once you can get someone's attention and become the shepherd of those eyeballs, there are so many ways to make money that it will blow your socks off. And if you actually want to see a full breakdown on how to grow an entire newsletter to that $1 million mark, we actually have a course if you guys want it, or just stick around for this next YouTube video, hit that subscribe button.